Hey, how is everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fine. Um, Evolution has failed. The belief in evolutionism is total absurdity because it's totally failed, and I'm going to demonstrate it in this video. This video is going to be a very important video because it's going to demonstrate beyond all shadow of a doubt that there is no possibility of a natural cause. There is zero possibility of a natural cause, and to the contrary, there is only evidence of intent and purpose. Well, let me get right into it because I know people don't have patience to listen. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people don't have patience to even listen to something that somebody's saying. They call it, oh, it's word salad. Put it in the category, stash it away in a box, and don't look at it anymore. Oh, this label this, put it in the box, stash it away. Label this, that, put it in the box, stash it away so you don't have to look at it, right? Okay, this is one of those things. You want to label it, you want to categorize it, stash it in your mental filing cabinet off somewhere so you don't have to think about it no more. That's the way people are. They're lazy. That's lazy. It's being lazy because you're not considering what somebody has to say. So, without wasting any more time, let me get into it. If you're not being skeptical of a natural cause, you are not being logical or rational. It's not logical or rational to think that matter made itself, ordered itself, and ordered you. You can't give the credit to matter for being matter. That is object credit giving. It's idolatry. It's what the Bible spent thousands of years trying to explain to you. If you don't want to be a believer in baseless pagan mythology, that's what you don't want to be. Idols and objects can't do a thing for you. They can't do a thing for themselves. They can't do a thing for you. Everything is forced to be what it is. Everything is forced to do what it does. Mindless matter didn't make itself. It did not make you, and certainly cannot ever remake you again. So there is no hope in a natural cause. You have to be skeptical of an object credit giving cause. For example, there is one small chance that you will be the best athlete in every sport. It's a very small chance and a lot of indication that you will not. What are the chances of everyone better than you becoming incapacitated? Because that's what it would take. Okay? It's a little joke to, add levity. There's no chance that any directed working mechanism will ever make itself beneficial. Directed working mechanisms don't make themselves. When you consider a possibility, this is the problem now. You got to pay attention now. When you consider a possibility, whether something is possible, you're only looking at one side of the equation because you're looking at, well, if the dice falls on the head, what's the chance of a dice falling on the head or on a certain number? No, that's not the full equation. That's only one side of the equation. When you consider a possibility of something happening, you have to also consider the possibility of it not happening. And then wait and see what the result is. Because if you're only considering, oh, is it possible? Oh yeah, it's always possible. There's a thin chance, but it's always possible. There's a 99.99% that it's not going to happen, but then there's always that 0.00001% that it might happen. But you're not looking at the whole equation. When you consider possibilities, you have to look at both sides of the equation. You can't just look at the side of the equation for things falling into directed working order. You have to consider the possibility of things falling apart every time you consider the possibility. So when you're considering, say, the forming of an amino acid, say, amino acids are what make up molecules. They're all left-handed amino acids, and they have to be left-handed. They have to be in a direct sequence in order to make a protein. And that's what the directions in DNA do. They have the sequencing to make a viable or a useful protein that makes every part of you, everything that you are. And that's just part of it because it has to be in a specific mainframe. It has to be in a specific for a specific purpose, for making a dog, making a cat, making a monkey, making a man, making whatever. And I'll get to that too. But when you consider a possibility of, say, something falling on heads or tails or number 6 or number whatever, you have to also look at the possibility of it not falling on that number. And even if it does, you have to consider it falling apart after it supposedly falls into directed working order. I've said this before. It's like nobody ever caught on before, because you can't only consider the possibility of something falling into directed working order, which is absurd to begin with. You also have to consider the possibility of it falling apart. What are the chances of something falling into directed working order while falling apart at the same time? Or consider both. Let's consider you have a machine or something that's fallen into directed working order. What are the chances of that? And what are the chances of it falling apart before it ever gets into directed working order? You have to consider that possibility too. And when you do, the chances of it falling apart are much, much higher every time than for it to fall into directed working order. It has to be a complete, in order for something to work, it has to be a complete set of instructions. In order for it to get a directed working mechanism, it has to be complete. You have to have the mechanism in place, and you have to have the directions to make the mechanism. It's the chicken and the egg. You have the proteins that have to be already in place, and you have to have the information to make the proteins. And when you consider both the chances of it falling together, you also have to consider the chances of it falling apart. And it's not going to hold together until it's completely made. And it's not going to completely make itself. It's not ever going to completely make any part of itself to begin with. So that's the reason why evolution is impossible trillions of times over, because everything falls apart at a much greater rate than it supposedly falls into directed working order. This is not word salad. This is logic. You're not being logical. You're not being skeptical of a natural cause. You have to be skeptical of a natural cause. And if you're not being skeptical of a natural cause, you're not being logical or rational. Whenever you do see a directed working organism, you can be sure of the intent and purpose, because there is no chance of a natural cause. There is zero chance of something falling into directed working order, because it's going to fall out of working order before it ever falls into directed working order. The chances of it falling out of order are much, much higher than the chances of it ever falling into direct working order. So you have to look at both sides of the equations. Okay, now what are the chances? What are the chances that what are the chances that you're going to make that you're going to be right? You're going to make the right choices and be right forever. What are the chances of you being perfect forever from here on out? What's the If you say and do what is right from here on out, you will live forever because you're going to tell the truth. What are the chances of that? The chances of that happening are very high if you believe the truth, because the truth will set you free. Never stop telling the truth. Run the race to win, and you will never be disappointed. There's more chance of you becoming perfect and becoming a saint than for evolution ever to make itself. Because there is a chance of you believing the truth and following the truth and having the hope of salvation, because God is able to make all grace abound towards you, so that you always, having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good thing. Never stop telling the truth. Run the race to win, and you will not be disappointed. I can't even talk straight, and I'm talking about being perfect, but I'm telling you what the reality is, and that is the truth of God's word. And I can correct my mistakes that I make. I can do better the next time. I can correct them. I can fix my mistakes. Can you? The question is, can you? Can you correct your mistakes? Can you correct your lack of being logical or rational? Can you correct your lack of being skeptical of a object credit giving cause? Can you correct it? I can correct it. Can you? So if you never stop telling the truth and you run the race to win, you will not be disappointed. Ooh.